All right, guys. Good morning or early afternoon, depending on where you are in the country. It is week 3. This is the Fantasy Slant. We are going to break down the games to come, fantasy plays to make, people to sit, and some line betting as well, DFS questions, anything that you guys have on your mind. Drop it in the chat, and let's talk about players, games, whatever it is. Let's have some fun before the games start. So, John should be jumping on here shortly. I'm going to try to hold down the fort until he gets here. So, last week was a rough one for a lot of people. Big injuries in there, especially Nick Chubb. Brutal injury. Looks like it's actually a little bit better than it was, which is surprising because it looked like his leg was absolutely mutilated. But it looks like just an MCL tear, which is still a big deal, but better than every single thing in your kneecap exploding. So that's good news for him. But for fantasy players, what do you do? How do you adjust and overcome that? So that's going to be a big thing. You lose a first round running back, and there's serious implications in that. So we're going to go over those types of things. So with that, uh, let's start with that game actually. So Titans Browns. They're going to lead the slate for today. The Cleveland's a 3.5 point favorite in this one. Over unders 38. So low scoring against the Titans. Like I said, no Nick Chubb. Deshaun Watson has not looked very good. I don't know if it's a Cleveland thing or what's going on there, but not the Deshaun Watson that we're used to seeing. So that's kind of shocking. But again, it's the Browns. Like they just find ways to brown things. I don't know, make everything brown. It's bad. But yeah, with Nick Chubb going down, big key to today is keeping an eye on what Kareem Hunt does. They signed him, said he looks like he's in very good condition, and he is going to play today. So start him, not quite, but somebody to keep an eye on and see how he does and how good he looks. I think by next week he should have the lead in that backfield. So 2 weeks at the latest. So a great guy if he's available on the waivers. Go pick up Kareem Hunt and stash him for a week or two, and let's see what he's got. But somebody's got to take over that Browns offense, and to me, it's going to be Kareem Hunt because he knows it and he is damn good running back. So grab him if he's out there, stash him. If you have him, don't start him this week unless you're absolutely forced to. So, but yeah, this game, DeAndre Hopkins is playing for the Titans. Of course, you've got Derrick Henry. You're going to start that combo most times. I shouldn't say with DeAndre Hopkins. Derrick Henry, you're definitely starting. DeAndre Hopkins, you might have better options. This Tennessee offense runs through Derrick Henry, as we've discussed, and not quite the best. So you're starting Henry. You might start Hopkins. The Browns, I would kind of just shy away from altogether outside their defense, which is a potential play here if they can stop the run. But all in all, with this game, not great. And I think Vegas feels it too with the over under at 38. I'm I'm going to go with the Titans in this one. I don't like what the Browns are doing now being down to running back. It is a home game for the Browns, but I just feel like this is one that Derrick Henry's going to put away. So I'm gonna actually take the Titans and 3.5 point dogs in this one. So that's good. But with the weather there, it looks like there's some rain in the forecast. They've got the better running back. It's gonna be a Titans game. All right. Next on the slate, Falcons at Lions. The 2-0 Falcons. 2-0 Falcons traveling up to Ford Field to take on the Detroit Lions. This is a game that the Lions are favored 3.5 points with a 47 over under. So on the higher end, not the highest end, as I quickly scroll through here, but that's one of the highest projected games of the week. So the Falcons offense has got some nice pieces. It looks like it's starting to come together. We really like beyond Robinson. Drake London got involved last week. We were kind of tempering expectations that we were talking about him last week is what is he going to do? What's this offense going to look like? He went with a big goose egg in week 1, bounced back with a touchdown in week 2, had better numbers. All in all, the offense is looking pretty decent and pretty playable. I mean, you're definitely starting Robinson. He is a foundational piece there for the Falcons. And Drake London, you kind of have to roll with him. He's a great number 2, number 3 wide receiver option there. So he's boomer bust, but in fantasy, you got to have a couple boomer busts. So like what the Falcons are doing, the defense looks decent. The Lions, though, I've been talking about this for a few weeks now. Is Gibbs, and what are they going to do with Gibbs? And now David Montgomery's out, so Gibbs has got to be the guy this week. There is no other options for them. He is going to lead it, and I highly suggest, especially for a DFS play, like get him in there because the Falcons' defense isn't that great. And he is explosive, very, very explosive. So if you're playing DFS, slam Gibbs into that lineup wherever you can, because I think he's going to have a huge game. He's on the cheaper side, so he might have gone up in ones that are adjusted daily, but like DraftKings and stuff like that should still be relatively cheap. Love that. Love the whole Lions offense, which I haven't said in God knows when the last time anybody said that. But Amon-Ra St. Brown's the real deal. Everybody looks great there. And Jim, I'm going to agree with you. I like the Lions at home to give the Falcons loss number 1. But I think the Lions are the right play. 3.5-point favorites. I will take that as well. So they're looking good. They're looking very good. All right, next up, Saints at the Packers. This is a tough one. And when we're talking about players to watch, is Jordan Love going to continue this run? Is he going to continue being the man there? Which he's been impressive. 3 touchdowns in both games to start the season, which is great. He looks very good in the pocket, very calm in the pocket, relaxed. He knows the offense, which he should. He's been sitting behind Aaron Rodgers for 4 years, so he should be very familiar with the operations of that team. And the Saints with Derek Carr, I mean, they're 2-0, but I'm not fully on board with that 2-0. So Green Bay at home is only a 1-point favorite. I feel like that is skewed for some reason. Saints defense is still good. Don't get me wrong. Packers at home, that's a hard place to play, especially for a dome team. And the Packers defense is really good as well. So I think the Packers should be able to handle this one very easily. Or maybe not very easily, but more than 1-point favorite. I think that's way too low. And a 41-point over-under is probably too low as well. I mean, I would think this game is going to go into the 20s pretty easily. So, like I said, both good defenses, but they also have nice offensive weapons. And Derek Carr likes to sling that ball, so he's going to throw a couple touchdowns in this one too. So, yeah, I mean, I like Jordan Love a lot. I actually flexed him in. I picked him up last week and put him into one of my lineups today for Justin Fields because Justin Fields apparently decided that he doesn't want to run anymore or throw the ball. So it's kind of one of those situations where you're like, cool, man. Thanks. Sure missed those 80-yard touchdowns you were running last year. But yeah, so I'm flexing Jordan Love in this week because 3 touchdowns is a very nice thing. No Aaron Jones in this one, so AJ Dillon will be taking the lead there. Another nice plug and play type of running back because he could step right in and be a 3-down back, I think, very easily. So if you've got AJ Dillon, feel very comfortable plugging him in, especially if you handcuffed him with Aaron Jones. That's a plug and play right there. Also nice DFS play. So take a look at that if you can. And on the Saints side, I mean, you're going to target Chris Olave starting no matter what each and every week. But otherwise, the running back room is kind of a mess right now with Jamal Williams going on the IR. I wouldn't trust any running back in that backfield right now. So Chris Olave is going to get a lot of targets. Michael Thomas probably gets some love there, but otherwise, um, don't lean heavily on the Saints. Packers side of the offense should operate much, much better. So that 1 point spread to me is way too low, and I don't know. I don't know where Vegas is shading that one to the Saints so much, but we'll see who's right. We'll see who's right. All right, Broncos, Dolphins. Let's see if Dina's around. This is another strange one. Miami is a 6 point favorite. That's a weird kind of number there that says, who's, you're just shy of a touchdown there, but it's a pretty big spread, but not enough of a spread to go to a full touchdown. So that's weird. 47.5 points. So that is also up there on the high end. There's only one game that is, Barrett one. Okay. So two games that are a little bit higher on the slate than the Dolphins and Broncos. So Broncos are 0-2, and for good reason. They kind of look a lot like last year. The offense is slightly better, but nothing great. They have to travel down to Miami, so you got that adjustment there. Miami is a very hard place for a cooler, cold weather team to play in. So I know it's still September, the end of September, so it's not a drastic temperature change, but it's still from Colorado to southern Florida. That's a big difference. So, humidity, elevation change, all that stuff is tough. So the Dolphins offense is absolutely cruising right now. I mean, that's a hard one to keep up with. Jalen Waddle is out. Tyreek Hill is still unstoppable, unfortunately, for Jets fans. But I don't know who's going to stop him on the Broncos. Obviously, they'll match him up with just drew a blank, but their number one corner. Somebody drop it in the chat. Who's very good. He's very good, and I don't know why I just completely spaced. But it's early, and I'm talking by myself, so be forgiving, please. But yeah, Tyreek Hill he's unstoppable. He's so fast. It's unbelievable. So they'll obviously try to double him, but you can only do that for so long. Tua's looking very good. Accuracy's up. The big thing with Tua is one hit, and what's that going to do to him, right? This defensive line for the Broncos is pretty decent. They could get pressure on him. We'll see how that one plays out. Outside of that, like it's the offense is pretty good. Their running back game is pretty decent, but not great. So they've got a balance, but everything runs through Tyreek Hill in this offense. So expect Tyreek to have another big game because they're going to force feed him, especially without Jalen Waddle. I think this will be a 2 touchdown type of win for the Dolphins. They'll go 3-0 in this one. On the Broncos side of the ball, I like Javonte Williams. Looks good coming back off that bad knee injury, and he's going to be somebody that you're going to watch continue to get better and better and really take a huge chunk of the Broncos offense onto his shoulders to take some of that off of Russell Wilson, because he still he's looking better than last year, but he's not looking anywhere near what he was in Seattle. So I like some of the wide receivers, but it's a huge roll of dice with Judy or Sutton as to who's going to kind of take over. But nice plays. I'm kind of leaning towards Jerry Judy this week to have a nice big game. So keep an eye on that. Plug him in, play him if you need a wide receiver 3 in this one and you have Jerry Judy or he's available. I actually picked him up off of waivers. Surprisingly, I wouldn't think you'd give up on Jerry Judy quite so quickly, but yeah, they abandoned ship on him. So I grabbed him. I'm keeping an eye on him, but a very nice number 3 to plug in. But I like, obviously, the Dolphins in this one. I think 6 points is a good spread, but I think they will cover that spread against the Broncos. All right. Next game up. I haven't seen Alex today. Alex, where you at, man? You're always here. It's time to talk Chargers and Vikings. When I say we're going to talk Chargers Vikings, we're going to talk the 0-2 Chargers against the 0-2 Minnesota Vikings. Vegas has no idea what to do with this. It's an even line, which is kind of crazy because they're not terrible teams. Like if it was the Colts and Texans last week, that's a hard line to kind of figure out. But to not have a favorite in this one is pretty crazy. The over under, this is the ceiling, 54 points for the over under. So expect a high scoring game in this one, and for good reason. It's going to be two very, very strong offenses against two very weak defenses. But this is going to be a fun one to discuss. Let's pause for a second as I bring John in. I got to throw my headphones on. So, and then we shall pick up. Hey, bud.
Hey, how we doing?
Good. All right. Setting up. Okay. So I've run through a bunch of games. And currently sitting on the Chargers Vikings. You made it just in time.
That's a fun one.
It is. Like I said, even spread. There's no line on this game, which is pretty wild. And the highest scoring by 6 points at a 54 over under, which is pretty wild.
I can't wait to watch that game. I cannot wait.
And like I said, right before I brought you in, two high-powered offenses against two non-existent defenses.
Yep.
I mean, that's basically the only way to say it, right? If either team had half of a defense, they would be 2-0.
Right.
So yeah, I mean, Justin Jefferson in this one to me is going to be unstoppable. I'm going to watch what the Vikings do with that Cam Akers trade, and Madison's been terrible. I think I saw, what do they have, 64 yards rushing this year on the ground, which is almost impossible to do. Like by accident, you should have 100 combined, but yeah, their running game has been non-existent, which forced that Cam Akers trade. So it's going to be interesting to see what Akers does and if they immediately insert him in and what they do there. And then again, no Austin Eckler. Again, it's a good thing he sat out for all that money and, talked about how great of a running back he is and can't make it through week one. Guy's always hurt, always hurt.
Yes, he is.
So that's going to be probably the biggest hurdle for the Chargers, right?
Yeah. So I don't think Akers is playing today. I thought he was out. But everybody does seem to think that once he's learned the playbook and stuff like that, he's taking over.
Oh, he is inactive. You're right.
Yeah. So, this is Madison's last probably chance to kind of prove that he can handle it. And honestly, it's against a good team to do it against, right? Because the Chargers give up a whole lot of yards, whole lot of points. My DFS is going to be filled. In fact, it already is. I got Cousins, Jefferson, Keenan Allen. You could even throw in a Mike Williams. I took Mike Williams in one of my regular teams, and he's been killing it the last 2 weeks. Not bad for a number 3 wide receiver getting 13, 14 points a week. So, and I think it continues. I think maybe you could probably look at maybe TJ Hawkinson as well. But it's going to be interesting for sure. I think it's going to be a fun game to watch. I think it's going to be extremely high scoring. And I think the Chargers are going to start 0-3 and fire their coach, to be quite honest.
Wow.
That's my guess. And probably a lot of Joshua Kelly as well. If you guys have him, if somebody picked him up, this is the week to play Joshua Kelly. Truly is.
Yeah. No, that's great right there. That is, I mean, he's really going to make a statement this week with going against this defense. It's just been both of these teams. You watch them and you're just like, just get in front of somebody. Like maybe just put a hand on them just to slow them down.
Right.
Like, nothing.
Just anything.
It's just,
tackle.
Right. It's like watching the NBA All-Star game.
Right. Well, that's what it's going to look like. And I hope so. Because I took Cousins. He's like top 2, I believe, in passing yards behind Tua this year. Doesn't have the touchdowns to match Tua, I don't think, but he's up there, so.
Yeah.
Should be a fun game to watch, though. If you get DirecTV to kind of combine a bunch of games, I'm gonna put the Pats in that game on. I think. When they play.
That's gonna be that'll be a fun one to watch for sure.
Yeah.
So, and hopefully Alex jumps in here because I want to hear what his agony feels like right now. But we'll see. So since I've got you and you made it just in time, let's talk our teams here. So the 0-2 New England Patriots against the 1-1 New York Jets.
Yes, sir.
Right now, the weather's just showing cloudy. I thought it was going to be, a tropical storm.
Right.
But I don't know if there's anybody on the East Coast watching in that area. Like, what is it looking like right now? I know my Jim is driving up there to.
Because Mike's already up there, right? Mike's up there.
So we should know. Jim's, I think, still here, but you have to let us know what the weather's looking like if you could message and drive or just speak it. Just speak it in there and let it do the text. But yeah, that's going to be a key factor, I think, in this game. New England's a 2.5-point favorite, 35-point over under. By far the lowest scoring game on the slate. By far.
So I didn't know what the over-under was until you just said it.
Yeah.
And I'm predicting a score of 16-13, 16-14, to be quite honest.
Okay.
My take on this one, two really good defenses, right? Two I think above average defenses by far.
Mm-hmm.
But then you look at the offenses and it's two below average type offenses. Now, of course, if Aaron Rodgers was still playing, we'd probably be speaking a little bit different. But so here's why I like New England, and here's my take on it. I think if Mac Jones can get rid of the ball quick, I think he has to today.
Yeah.
Especially with our O-line banged up. I hope to see a healthy dose of Stevenson and Elliott. And I just think our defense is better than your offense, meaning we held kind of Miami in check. We held kind of Philly in check, too, for defensive wise. And they were on the field a long time. And we moved the ball well in both games. We just don't have the points to show for it. So is this going to be the game that Mac Jones lights up the scoreboard? Absolutely not. But I think our defense is going to do a good enough job to stop Zach Wilson because I'm sorry. He's just – you guys – I mean, it's such a tough break for you guys losing Rodgers. It truly is. I would have – I don't know. Not that I want to see the Jets do well, but I think if Aaron Rodgers is still on that team right now, the sky was the limit for the Jets, to be quite honest. But with Zach Wilson, he's just trash. I'm sorry. He's just not good. He's not a good decision maker. He actually does much better to me when the plays are broken and he's able to run. But he doesn't sit in the pocket well with a pass rush. He gets sacked a lot. I mean, never mind against the Dallas game. It's just what he does. He makes bad decisions. And honestly, to me, he's better when the play breaks and he's able to run and throw on the run. So maybe they'll use that as an advantage. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I see like the Patriots winning like a 16-13, 16-14 type game. I don't think weather will play too much of a factor because I think we'd see more running than anything from both teams, to be quite honest. I don't see either coach saying, hey, go out and throw the ball 54 times. Right. Because whatever team does that is they're going to get blown out because it's going to be pick sixes. It's just two really below average offenses to me playing against two elite defenses. And I just think our offense, our quarterback, as bleak as what people think it is, I still would take Mac over Zach Wilson right now. And we didn't think that, of course, when everybody was drafted, but Zach Wilson needed a couple years to sit back. So that's my prediction.
And that's the biggest thing I think with Aaron Rodgers going down. I don't know if we would have won that game against the Cowboys last week, even if Rodgers was in, because Micah Parsons is.
That defense is just sick. It's just sick.
And Parsons is, he was, I don't know if you watched the game.
I did.
But he was just toying with the offensive linemen.
Yeah.
Literally toying with them and then going right past them.
Dude, that spin move that he has that is coming, he almost uses I noticed one play, I can't remember who the lineman was, but he spun and he pushed his back against the O lineman's shoulder and used it for leverage to like jump forward. You know what I mean? It's just, he doesn't just use and abuse him. He uses him to his advantage where he's pushing off and just getting he's just insane.
He's incredible.
And that text you sent about Jim's friend who said he was going to be overrated at a bust. Yeah.
Guaranteed bust. Remember that?
I bet the Giants wish they had him right now. You know?
Yeah. Good job. On that call. I mean,
that's why we're not GMs, right? That's why we're not general managers.
Yeah. I mean, I never saw bust written all over him. I saw exactly what you're seeing, but maybe not this good. But
he plays with a good defense too. He's complimented big time, and you can't stop just one player in that Dallas D. But today I just see a low scoring game. I think the Patriots come out on top. Again, if they lost today because of a pick six, it's not going to surprise me. He just has to get rid of the ball quick. Our O-line is banged up, and yours barring last week. Right. Yours is too. So that's why I just think it's going to be a low scoring, keep the ball out of the hands of the quarterback, put in the running game, and I guess see what happens.
Yeah. So from a Jets perspective, I do disagree with you on the Zach Wilson thing. I think he looks a lot better this year than he previously has, especially in the pocket. Because one, his footwork is cleaner in the pocket, and he's stepping up into the pocket instead of trying to skirt the outside of the pocket and run and make those stupid decisions. And if you watched in that Dallas game, there was quite a few times where he stepped up in the pocket and took off and picked up the first down. So that was to me a promising progression, right? As opposed to where he would just scramble out and just on the run try to flick the ball into stupid decisions and get intercepted and or just squeak by with an incompletion or something like that. So I like seeing that his footwork looks better in the pocket and he's stepping up and taking the yards when they're there now, which is good. It helps the defense stay honest too. You're not going to bring blitzes if they can get through. The bad thing is the offense can't stop. The offensive line can't stop anybody. I mean, I don't know what the reconfiguration is going to look like. What's up, Valves?
Yeah, I don't know.
What's up, buddy? Drop your questions in or whatever you think as well. But
Valves, by the way. Valves BTW.
So it's going to be a huge thing to watch and see the reconfiguration because Dwayne Brown went from he should play to now on the IR for 4 weeks. So that's great, but he was an absolute liability. That's the reason Aaron Rodgers made it 4 plays. He's the reason Micah Parsons looks like Aaron Donald on steroids. I mean, he was used and abused, and I don't think it's a bad thing that he's out, but I don't know how they're going to reshuffle if they're going to move Mekhi Becton back to the left side. And is there going to be issues with that switch? I don't know. So definitely interested to see how the offensive line is readjusted because they haven't said the moves that they're going to make. So that's something that we're going to have to watch and see. And then how does that affect Zach Wilson? I don't know. Does that give him an extra second in the pocket or what? So that's going to be huge. I do think Bill Belichick is going to try to keep it on the ground today a lot and keep Mac somewhat as a game manager in this one because the defenses are very good. And I think that's the way from the Jets side. I think squeaky wheel is Breece Hall and they're going to grease it and they're going to give him a ton of carries in this one as they should because I think that's the only way you win this game against the Patriots is to control the clock and control the ground game. Keep it out of Bill's hands. Don't make stupid calls. Like we talk about this all the time with Bill Belichick. Everybody worries about beating Bill Belichick. Got to outsmart Bill Belichick. Got to outcoach Bill Belichick. And then Bill Belichick just keeps doing his thing because he just lets you fall into your own mistakes and shoot yourself in the foot, and then he just takes it. So like, don't go for it on 4th and 2 because you feel like you have to get the first down there to beat Bill Belichick. No, like trust your defense and be smart with it. So
it's funny you say that because I'm like the first time, and I don't know why the Pats are doing it more. It seems like this year they're not taking the points and going for it on 4th and 1, 4th and 2, and not getting it.
Yeah.
So it's like, man, we really could have used those 3 points, and hopefully, knowing the defense they're playing against this week, they take points when they can. Because I think every field goal is going to matter. If you told me at the end of this game there's going to be 6 field goals, 5 field goals kicked for each team, it wouldn't surprise me one bit. Wouldn't surprise me one bit. I mean, depending on how windy it is, but it doesn't seem like it's going to be too bad come game time there. So
no, it looks like it should be pretty decent. So as Jim said, light rain and some wind. So that's kind of normal for Meadowlands weather anyway. So
right.
Nothing crazy there. So what's interesting too is you saw the text that Mike sent that the Jets haven't got an offensive pass interference called in their favor in 22 straight games.
That's just insane. That's just insane.
And we talk about the Jets penalties all the time or lack thereof, and you always think we're crazy. That stat is very telling. And yeah, maybe some of them were crazy, but for the most part, it's because of these things that we're probably going crazy. But 22 straight games without a pass interference called on the defense in a Jets game. That's just it's going to change today now that the stats out. So
of course. Pats are gonna get called for
first
5
play
roughing the passers. It's gonna be, but I would be curious, and this is why I kind of wrote what I did. I'd be curious. Well, no, I guess I'm thinking of pass interference that you can say you decline it. Roughing the passer, they would take it automatically. So never mind.
Yeah,
what I was going to say would
15.
would be stupid on my part. So,
I don't know. It's crazy.
Yeah,
it's just crazy.
I guess that's crazy. I would love to see like where they got these stats from, because that just doesn't sound right.
No.
Or maybe it's just like, look, it's the Jets. They don't get any calls. I don't know.
Yeah, it's kind of like how like Cam Newton was saying for years, like he doesn't get calls.
Right.
Because he's huge, right?
Right.
And everybody else, you touch Tom Brady flag, and
right.
Cam Newton would get blasted. Nothing. So I don't know. We'll see. But
so a fantasy question for you for today, and I'm going to ask you because you're a Patriot hater. Would you start Kendrick Bourne today, or would you start Robert Woods, Kendrick Bourne, or where's my other guy here? Dotson. Jahan Dotson. I know it's not much.
Yeah.
It's not much.
Oh, man. So
I'm leaning towards Woods playing at Jacksonville because they do tend to throw the ball a lot because they're losing a lot. But I don't know. Woods has actually put up back-to-back games where he scored over 11 points. And mind you, this is my flex. I just got a slew of injuries. I got Deontay Johnson hurt. David Montgomery's out. Of course, Jonathan Taylor's out. I got hit with the injury bug on my flex, and that's I just don't know if I should start Woods or Bourne. I think Bourne is the better player. I just worry about the Jets defense and not so much the Jacksonville D.
Yeah. Initially I wrote Dotson off immediately, but that offense is looking pretty damn good.
Yeah, they are.
I know they're playing the Bills. They are at home. They're going to have to throw the ball.
I'm just worried about weather there too, and I'm probably looking a little bit too much into it. The Bourne play scares me because of the defense. The weather in Washington, I believe. I thought it was supposed to be rainy in Washington.
It's showing 75 and partly sunny.
Oh, gotcha.
So I would agree with you if that was the case, but I mean, they should be losing to the Bills and have to throw the ball to keep into that game. I mean, sneaky play there with Dotson, but I would probably, Woods is probably the safest for the situation, but
right.
I mean, if you need to overcome stuff, if you're a big dog in this one, like Dotson could have a good game there. But
right.
I'd go Woods for safety, Dotson, and then
That's what I'm doing. I had Bourne in there initially from last week because I thought we were going to see something a little bit more. He got like 6 points week 2, 24 week 1. So
big week 1.
Again, and I think it's going to be based on defense. And I don't think Mac Jones is going to throw the ball a whole lot today. So now watch, Kendrick Bourne's going to have 4 touchdowns and 275 yards, and he's going to blast sauce, and no one ever seen it. So that's what will happen. But
exactly. And Jim's saying go with Bourne, but that's because he hates the Jets too. So
9-6 New England. I love it.
So I will say as we wrap this game up, I'm going to say Stevenson is a play in this one. And then you got to go with Breece Hall and, of course, Garrett Wilson, because you saw even against that Dallas defense, he's such an elite wide receiver already. You can't keep up with him. So if Zach Wilson can get a few seconds in the pocket, Garrett Wilson's going to have a nice day today.
You know, it's funny you say that because Shady just texted me and said, I think Garrett Wilson is a risky play today because of the weather. And my brother Darryl wrote, right, but how can you sit him? And I said, well, it's weather and Wilson, right? It's his quarterback. So it's I mean, you
still had a touchdown.
You took him in the first or second round. You have to play him. You know, you just have to play him.
Yeah. Well, what wide receiver do you have that's better?
Exactly.
Because even against Dallas's defense, he had a touchdown, 85 yards.
Yep.
So he could break it from anywhere on the field.
You really don't have a choice.
And what I'm going to say is, I put it in our text too, is my son's, I don't know. Last week he's like, Dad, I think the Jets are going to play the Cowboys this week. And I was like, actually they are. I don't know how you knew that. And he's just like, I don't know. And then this week I asked him, who do you think they're playing this week? And he's like, and he thought about it for a while. And he's like, the evil Patriots. And I was like, yes, actually, that's kind of weird. And this morning or last night, he told me the Jets are going to win by 1 point. So we'll see. We'll see if
Tristan,
that
I
comes.
hope you're wrong. I hope you're wrong. And it's not to be mean to you, but I do hope you're wrong.
Yeah. Well, we'll see if we'll see if his intuition's correct. And if it is, then I'm going to find out who's going to win the Super Bowl. And I'm going to head over to the
Let me know and I'll start making bets. Let me know. I'll start making bets.
So, but of course, I'm going to go with that, and I'm going to say the Jets win by 1 point. So I'm going to trust my boy and give me the Jets by 1 in a nail biter. So
all right.
And God, I hope the score's over 35.
I don't think it's going to be. I think we're going to be a little bored this week, Joe, watching. Not bored, but just like, come on.
Yeah.
Come on.
Let's break 40 total. Let's just break 40 total. So at least there's some scoring in it. All right. So let's keep rolling here. Bills and Commanders. We just kind of touched on this one for you. Bills are 5.5 point favorites. Over under of 44. Like I said, the weather's showing pretty nice, which is surprising with what's going on. But yeah, 75, partly sunny is what it's showing. This one, I don't know what to make of the Commanders. I really don't. I thought they were going to get throttled, and they made an epic comeback last week to beat Denver. And that was in Denver too, right? So that's even harder to do. So that was eye-opening. Like, is Sam Howell for real? Is this can they threaten can they upset the Bills?
See, I don't think so. I don't think they can score enough points. So if you look at their points, they've scored 55 points, and I know Buffalo's only scored 54, but the Jets handled them pretty well. I just don't think I just don't think they can score enough points against Buffalo. Cook looks really good in the backfield. Really well. Gabe Davis looks good again this year, and I think it's just a matter of time until that offense gets going. And I just, again, I'm with you. I'm not sold on the Commanders now. If they beat Buffalo this week, okay, maybe. But I don't see Washington being able to beat Buffalo this week. I think Josh Allen will do too much.
Yeah, but Josh Allen hasn't looked great.
No. Last week he did. Last week he finally looked good. So it's granted they've only played 2 games. And again, man, I just think like the whole not playing at all just doesn't bode well for players. All the teams don't look like they're in sync. You know what I mean? At least to me, they just don't look like they're in sync, and it takes up to 3 weeks now. That's why I think you'll see teams like Washington start to take a back seat because it's other teams is finally starting to click as well. So at least that's my opinion. So
yeah, well, this is going to be a huge one, and it might be one of those things too where this could be an early trap game to where it's just like us, the Commanders are not supposed to be that good, and the Bills get stuck in the mud, and it is a home game for the Commanders, and who knows? I'm with you on this one. I'm not picking the Commanders until they can beat somebody like this and not Denver. But if they can beat the Bills, then you got to start talking a little bit different, like you said. But I think
yes, sir.
Until then, in this one, I would still start McLaurin. He's still a huge target there. I'm going to stick with it. I'm going to say a sleeper for Dotson too in this one, especially if they're down big and they got to come back. Or just garbage time for fantasy. I think both of those wide receivers are legit. I don't trust their running game in Washington, so I think it's going to be a lot of airtime, and those two are big. And the other side, I like Cook. He looks really nice now that he's got that backfield to himself, and I think Stephon Diggs is still Stephon Diggs, so he's going to be hard to stop, and he's still Josh Allen's favorite weapon in the world. So so for fantasy, that's where you want to target, I think. And I don't think anybody's going to be looking at Dotson, but if he puts up he could put up a 2 touchdown game in this one.
Absolutely.
So especially if they focus on McLaurin, which the Bills would be smart to do. So we'll see. But give me Buffalo. I think we're both going Buffalo in this one, but I don't think either one of us will be upset if the Commanders come out with that 3-0.
I will be very happy with that.
So, all right. So let's go down to the South here and talk about the 0-2 Texans against the Jaguars.
The Jaguars
looked terrible last week. Jacksonville
and
Trevor Lawrence against Kansas City's vaunted defense.
They just didn't look right. I mean, they just didn't look right.
And I have Trevor Lawrence in one of my leagues that got me 9.8 points.
Yeah, that's a tough one, boy. I didn't really understand kind of what was going on there. It's they didn't even show up. That Kansas City offense didn't have to do much. They didn't. Yeah. And they moved the ball against Jacksonville. So I don't know. Has Jacksonville taken that step yet? Obviously not. They laid up an egg. Even if they lost to Kansas City but made it look good, but their offense couldn't do anything.
No,
absolutely nothing. Running game, passing game, nothing. And I didn't think Casey's defense was all that elite. I just think they ran into a team that just didn't click that day. But I'm going to go Jacksonville this week.
This should be a get right then, right?
Yeah. So CJ Stroud is out, correct?
Yes.
He's out. So you got. Wait a minute.
No, Richardson.
I thought all the rookie quarterbacks were out this week.
Richardson and Bryce Young are
Bryce Young. Okay. I thought Stroud was out. Okay, maybe.
No, Stroud's in.
Why did I think I heard all the rookie quarterbacks were out this week? Okay, but anyways.
For fantasy purposes, they might as well be. But yeah.
Stroud has done pretty well, though. He hasn't played terribly. He played a tough Baltimore team opening week. Didn't do the greatest, but last week against Indy, what did he throw for almost 400 yards, 2 touchdowns, and I think he had a rushing touchdown too. So, are they going to win? No. But I really like Nico Collins in this game, and I like Robert Woods, to be quite honest, because I think Jacksonville playing at home, they'll get their offense going again, and Houston's going to have to score some points. So
yeah. And I don't know if you remember, I was talking up Nico Collins last year. I think I was a year too early on him.
Early, yes.
But yeah, he looks. He's a big, strong wide receiver. Like he is your prototypical. What is he? 6'2", 6'3", big receiver. Like he can go up and win the battles and very, very good. And he's finally showing it this year. I like that call a lot there. I think that's going to be a huge play again. Like you could start Nico and not think about it. I'm going to keep an eye on this Jaguars team and see, like, again, I talk about it each week. why isn't Travis Etienne the featured player on this team? Like
I don't get it.
He's so elite catching and running. He should be Austin Eckler. Like that's
Right.
what he should be. And they just don't use him. I don't understand why he's not. And they played together at Auburn. I mean, it's not like they don't know each other and they don't know their tendencies and how they play.
Right.
That should be Trevor Lawrence's safety valve for everything. Like if there's trouble, give it to Travis. Like that's just it. Like go. So yeah, I'm going to keep an eye on it. I'm starting Trevor Lawrence again this week.
As you should.
Hopefully there's a little bit better results, but I think the Jaguars should be able to get right in this one and have a feeding frenzy, so to speak, on the Texans. So
agreed.
Colts, Ravens. This is one we don't need to spend a lot of time on, I don't think. No Richardson in this one. Ravens, I mean, they should just throttle the Colts. They're at home.
There's a lot of people hurt though on Baltimore. They're missing some key pieces, but agreed, they should be able to beat Indy pretty easily this week.
I mean, their defense is still better overall. It's a home game, and that is a tough stadium to play in. It's pretty ferocious there. So, Zay Flowers looks real. They've got Mark Andrews back. Their running game is always a disaster, so it's not like you're like, well, what are they going to do without the running game? And
they always do something.
And Lamar Jackson looks like Lamar Jackson, so he's looking good this year. Very not a lot of people are talking about him, but he's playing just fine. They're 2-0. They're going to go 3-0.
Right.
I think you start your studs in this one. I would just be a little weary starting like Flowers potentially because this game could be out of control and not a lot of throwing on the other side. You know, like maybe Michael Pittman if you got to throw a dart for garbage time and playing catch up type of thing, might get some nice garbage points there. But I think we're Ravens at 7.5. I think we're taking that pretty comfortably.
Yeah.
So okay, and they could score almost 40 against the Colts by themselves. So
right.
All right. Another game that should be pretty one-sided here is the Andy Dalton-led Panthers against the Seahawks up here in the Pacific Northwest. I don't like anything for the Panthers this week. I mean,
I know.
The Seahawks defense in DFS is probably relatively cheap and should be an automatic fill. I mean, there's just – I don't know how else to say it. I should actually, because I filled mine out earlier this week. Now that I'm saying it out loud, it's like I better check in. Oh, I did put them in. Good. So I have one DFS that I'm doing that they're in there. But, I mean, Andy Dalton, I don't trust you. You're flying all the way across the country. It is a late game, but still, there's nothing good about this Panthers situation right now.
They were talking about LaVisca Chenault and stuff like that, but it's like I don't. I mean, this whole game I don't like. You know who I like is Kenneth Walker. I think Kenneth Walker is going to go nuts. But how can you like anything on Carolina?
You can't.
You can't.
I mean, there's nowhere. There's nothing to even target. I mean, you don't like Miles Sanders in this one. There's no wide receivers that are like, this should be a good matchup. It's just Seahawks defense should eat today, I think. And with that being said, Andy Dalton will probably come out and throw for 500 yards and look like, what's his name? Flynn from
oh God.
Matt Flynn?
Matt Flynn. Yes.
Against Seattle, right? Wasn't
yes.
it? That went ballistic and then signed with Seattle, and then Russell Wilson said, "You're not going to ever play football again." But
when was it Favre or Rodgers got hurt?
That was Rodgers, right?
That was a long time. Yeah, it had to be Rodgers, right? Yeah. Rodgers got hurt, and because I went to a Sunday night game. Yeah, I went to a Sunday night game, Patriots in Green Bay, and I got to watch Matt Flynn carve up the Pats defense. They still won. But it was like, come on, this shouldn't
he had like those 3 games where he threw for like almost 500 yards in each game. It was insane. I don't think that's going to happen with Andy Dalton.
No, I don't either.
I'm
I
gonna,
don't either.
yeah. So I guess the most shocking thing here is that the Seahawks are 5-point favorites at home against this team.
Right. So that tells you everything you need to know.
It should be way more than that.
It should, but do you trust Seattle?
I don't know if it's a Seattle trust or just a Panthers situation. I would put the money on Seattle.
Oh, I would too. If I was going to bet this game, but I would definitely steer away from this game.
Yeah. So the other thing I will say is to keep an eye on is DK Metcalf's status. He should play, but he is questionable coming into this one. I mean, I have him, and I'm kind of in a situation to where he's still plugged in, but if I have to flex him out, it's going to be for Tyler Boyd, who will be the only available player that I'll have because everybody else is an early game. But I like the situation too much to bench DK, so it's like,
right.
But yeah, give me the Seahawks in this one, go 2-1, and Panthers to go 0-3. And then these later games, ugly. Bears at Chiefs. Justin Fields. I said it before you came on. I took him in fantasy this year because I wanted the 80-yard touchdown runs that he's not doing, and he's not throwing. He's just a mess, and he's blaming the coaching now for everything, and you just can't trust an Ohio State quarterback in the NFL. I mean, that's just Ohio State and USC quarterbacks. If they're available to draft in the NFL, just let them be. I mean,
well, he's going to be the number one next year, though. Caleb Williams, man.
I know.
He's going to be the number one coming out. Maybe on one of our teams, Joe. We don't know yet, man. Oh, my God. We don't know. We may be getting into ugly territory again.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you never know. You really never know. But I don't know. I don't know what's going on with that Bears team. They were supposed to take a step forward, and they have regressed terribly. And the Chiefs, they got Kelsey back, and that seems to be the only thing that Patrick Mahomes needs is Kelsey. Maybe now that he's supposedly dating Taylor Swift, that'll put a rift between their relationship.
Right.
I don't know, but I don't see it slowing down this week. Kansas City's a 12.5-point favorite, 48 total points. I don't know.
I don't understand though, Joe, and why aren't they letting Fields run? He's ran 13 times in 2 games for 62 yards. Last year, he ran for 11, almost 1,200 yards.
Right.
That's why are they turning him into a pocket passer? I don't think it is Fields. I think Fields wants to run. Yeah. Let him do both. Honestly, let him do both. Why stop him from running? You're taking his best attribute out of his game, and he doesn't know how to play any other way. So I guess I don't know, man. The Bears are an absolute effing shit show, man. They have been for a while.
Yeah.
Mitch Trubisky put up better numbers than Fields his first couple of years. And it's just like, let Fields just run the ball. Yeah. I bet you'll see that today. I bet you will. I think you'll be happy with Fields today.
Well, I benched him for Jordan Love.
So I probably would have too, but I wouldn't be surprised if Fields has a couple touchdowns today because he's going to have to. They're going to have to play that game. Yeah. Let him run the ball,
Yeah. So all right. So let me flip it to you. What would you do in that fantasy situation? Jordan Love or Justin Fields?
So Jordan Love, they're playing the Saints, right?
Playing the Saints at home, early game.
To me, the Saints defense is very good. Maybe not name-wise, but they don't give up a lot of points. They truly don't.
But he's also thrown 3 touchdowns in the first 2 games.
He has. Well, what would I do? In Green Bay, I would probably start Fields. I think I would start Fields.
Is that your Fields love that's coming through, or
see, I don't know. I mean, is there a bias? So I picked up Jordan Love in one of my keeper leagues as a free agent because I had Aaron Rodgers as my backup. I had Josh Allen and Aaron Rodgers, so I wanted to fill that. So now I'm hoping Jordan Love does great because that will be my keeper next year for a 15th round pick. If Love works out the way he should. Yeah. But I would be worried about that Saints defense today. That's all. But I mean, he's thrown 3 touchdowns the last 2 games. He has 6 touchdowns and no interceptions this year. I mean, if you're going to go by stats right now, you kind of have to go Love. But I wouldn't be surprised if Field has a good game today.
All right. Okay.
I don't mean to throw that curveball at you, brother, but I mean, I'm starting Allen, of course, over Love. I just picked up, honestly, Love to keep for next year in a way.
All right. Since I'm projected right now to lose 111 to 106, I need the upside. So, yeah, if Justin Fields runs for a couple big touchdowns, there's the upside that I need. So,
yeah, there you go.
All right, I'm going to flex him in. We'll see if it happens. But
okay.
I think we're both going to take the Chiefs in this one.
Absolutely.
And start your studs.
Yes.
So, okay, Cowboys, Cardinals. This should be so Dallas is a 12.5 point. Chiefs are also 12.5 point favorites in this one.
12.5.
I would take the Cowboys and the 12.5, and I wouldn't even think twice about it.
No. Oh God, it's just. Oh my God. I
mean, when we're talking about defenses as well, like this Cowboys defense against the Cardinals is they're going to score fantasy points this week. So yeah, also from a DFS perspective, probably way more expensive than the Seahawks. But I mean, if the Cardinals cross the 50, I mean that's probably their objective.
Probably
right?
a win, right? Probably a win there. Yes.
Yeah, we got to the 49 of the opponent. I think we just call it right. Like
right.
Yeah, I mean you're not starting anybody on the Cardinals.
No. I even took out Connor today. In fact, let me double check that. I need to take him out.
And the Cowboys, we got to watch the CeeDee Lamb show. I absolutely love CD. Everybody knows that if you've been watching the show for a couple years. He's my man crush. I'm so mad that the Jets took Mekhi Becton over him, and I always will be, because I was screaming at the TV to take CeeDee Lamb when that pick came up. But
I remember texting you there. You weren't happy with that.
I was so upset, and I still am. But CD is going to have a huge game, I think. But the Cowboys aren't going to have to do a lot. So I shouldn't say he's going to have a huge game, but for fantasy points, he should be nice. And then it's probably just going to go to a running game. And the second half, you'll probably have starters out of the game in the fourth quarter in this one. It's just going to be out of hand. So be careful with your Cowboys. Don't go over the top starting Cowboys people thinking they're going to cash in against the Cardinals. It's just not going to happen. So. Maybe a touchdown or 2 in this one, and that's going to go to a ground game. And, Pollard should have a very nice game, but outside of that, I would temper my expectations for the quarterback and wide receivers.
Yep, for sure.
So, and then, night game. Steelers at the Raiders.
Well, one good thing is for sure, I won't be staying up late tonight. That's kind of nice.
Yes. Man. And the other thing, well, let's talk about this one real quick. Like I just don't care about this game at all. I'm going to watch Kenny Pickett and see if he can get any better. But, and we go back a couple years too. Najee Harris and Travis Etienne, we both absolutely loved coming out, and their talent is undeniable.
Yeah.
And it's like, why did you draft these guys in the first round?
Right.
I don't get it. I love Najee. I love Travis Etienne. I loved both of them. And they're both just like almost, you can't trust either one of them. Week in and week out, you can't trust either of them.
I've actually pulled Najee out of a couple of my leagues only because I have better options. Like I got Zach Moss from Indy, who's playing pretty well. I got Gus Edwards there. I'm putting them in over Harris because I just don't trust Harris. I just don't. And
that's sad because you shouldn't say that Zach Moss is starting over Najee Harris any week. Right. It just shouldn't happen. But
it's just something you have to do. When you have other options, you just do it.
Yep. But in reality, he should be your workhorse. He should be in every week. Plug and play wide receiver 1, running back 1, and he's just not. But in this game, God, I don't trust. I just don't trust Jimmy Garoppolo at all. I think that was the dumbest move they made, releasing Carr and going with Jimmy G. It just that wasn't the missing piece. It just
No.
wasn't. So, and if anything, he's worse. He's a worse quarterback than Carr.
I mean, I don't get this Vegas team. I don't think McDaniels makes it through the year.
He's a terrible head coach.
He's just not good. It's just some people should stay with their strengths, and he should stay as an offensive coordinator.
Mm-hmm.
He just should. Kind of like how I think Saleh should be a defensive coordinator. Some people just don't make good coaches. I just think Josh McDaniels is one of them. I just don't think he can run a team. There's so much more to do when you have to run the team versus concentrating on offense. So I think he'll find. I think he's going to find that out after this gig when he comes back, and he's going to have to go somewhere as an offensive coordinator.
Yeah, he'll never get another head coaching shot. I mean, the fact that he got one again,
he shouldn't. Right? I agree. He shouldn't. He shouldn't.
But at the same time, like if you're Josh McDaniels, this is the last head coaching job you're getting. Why are you taking the Raiders job?
Right. Out of all the jobs, that's a dysfunctional team.
Yeah.
Wait for a team that. I don't know, maybe be the next Raiders coach, not Raiders, but Steelers coach, where they don't fire anybody. And you're going to win 9 games a year off of being the Steelers alone. But it's just like, why would you take a team like that in Vegas? I mean, Chandler Jones is now on the inactive because of a non-football related injuries or non-football related issue because he's fighting with the owner. Publicly, you have got a guy fighting with the owner on like X. It's like, come on, man. What the fuck is going on?
Right. And even with it, like Mark Davis doesn't deserve to own a team.
No.
He just doesn't. Like I tell you, he can't even figure out how to get a haircut. And he owns a professional franchise because of his dad. But and you got to work for that guy.
That he can't. Yes, exactly.
That's where it starts. That's where it starts. The Raiders are not going to be good until the ownership changes because that man he's a moron. He's just a moron. So he's just playing with daddy's money and has no idea what he's doing. So, but that's totally off the rails. I'm going to take the Steelers to win this game.
Nah, me too.
I don't trust the Raiders for anything. So I think the Steelers defense is better. Their offense is better. And I know it's a home game for the Raiders. I don't care. So Steelers are
same
better.
here.
And as I'm looking for that Thursday night debacle for the Giants again, should the Giants? Question for you: should the Giants self-impose a primetime ban on themselves, like college, like does the like self-imposed bowl ban? Should the Giants do because they're playing again? They're televised again next week.
I know, it's so gross.
They haven't scored a touchdown in 2 televised games so far, and I know Jim's watching and he can't say anything back, which is awesome. But they get blown out by the Cowboys week 1, which they're a good team. They get destroyed by the 49ers. It didn't even look hard for the 49ers. Like if you watch that game, it didn't even look like they were really trying that hard.
I know.
And then who do they play next week? I know they're televised again next week. Let me jump over here. They're playing Seattle at home. They might score a touchdown.
I mean, that's going to be a terrible game anyways, to be quite honest. No one wants to watch that game. No one.
No.
No one wants to watch it.
It's I'm just curious. Should they just say like we apologize and we're gonna
apologize for our play. We do say sorry.
Man, I didn't even realize it's after 10 o'clock.
It is. Yeah, we gotta go here, man.
We do. So let's just talk real quick. Not talk, but make your pick. Eagle or Bucks? Eagles.
Eagles. Yeah.
All right. And the one that I'm curious about are the Bengals going to go 0-3?
Yes. Because I don't think Joe Burrow's going to play, and the Rams don't look as bad as everybody thought they were going to be.
Yeah, that's going to be that's going to raise eyebrows. So I'm going to be watching for that one, but we'll see.
4th and 15, the Jets are punting. There we go.
Yeah, great. All right. Well,
I love it.
we'll see what happens here. But all right, guys. Well, that's it. Fantasy wise, best of luck to you. Hopefully you win. Again, we'll be back every Sunday morning. Do this all over again. And until then, hopefully we should have the whole team back next Sunday.
Yes.
So it'll be all three of us back fully functional. So like most teams that are still figuring things out, I think we should be by week 4 fully up and running. So
we'll be fully staffed by then.
Yeah. So, all right. So until next Sunday, guys, have a great week. Best of luck today to your teams, fantasy and real life. And we will see you guys again real soon. Peace out.
Peace.